Okay, great. You're back and ready for lesson number 8 of the BFG by Roald Dahl. I am so proud of you for coming along with these destination readers and joining in. It's absolutely fantastic. Okay, keywords, important words that I want you to really think about. They're going to be written in red. Questions for you to answer are going to be written in blue. And some writing time. This is going to be written for you in green. I bet you are all organised and ready to go, but let's just check that you've got a copy of the story, a strategy prompt sheet, a pencil or pen, and a piece of paper or your home learning book. If you don't have those things, press pause and collect them now. The BFG by Roald Dahl. We're going to continue with reading strategy number 3. My turn, inference, your turn. My turn, inference, your turn. Okay, what does inference mean? Why do good readers make inferences? I want you to have a little think, say your answer out loud, and then make a note of your ideas on your piece of paper or in your home learning book. What does inference mean, and why do good readers make inferences? Press pause now. Great, you're back. Okay, I wonder what you've written down. Maybe some of you have said that an inference is clues from the book plus your schema, your background knowledge. You put these together and you come up with an inference. You might have put down that the author leaves clues in the story and you have to read between the lines. And you might have said that good readers make inferences because it helps them to understand the story better and helps to keep them interested in what they're reading. Vocabulary. My turn, snoscumbers, your turn. My turn, snoscumbers, your turn. Snoscumbers. Well, I know that this is a made-up word. Roald Dahl, the author of the story, is really good at making up really interesting words. And a snoscumber is a revolting vegetable which the BFG eats. Snoscumbers. My turn, contemptuously, your turn. My turn, contemptuously, your turn. Contemptuously is to act or look in a sneering way that shows that you disapprove or you don't like something very much. Contemptuously. My turn, forlorn, your turn. My turn, forlorn, your turn. Forlorn. Forlorn is a very sad and lonely feeling or look. Forlorn. Winsome. My turn, winsome, your turn. My turn, winsome, your turn. And so winsome is a look. It's a way that somebody is looking, and it's really attractive, it's appealing, very innocent, very sweet. Winsome. Great. We're going to be doing some 1 mark and 2 mark answers today again this week. So we're going to be doing this all this week, and I want you to look really carefully at how many marks each question is worth. Let's recap on how to answer 1 mark and 2 mark questions. Okay, we're going to sing this together. Make sure you sing with me. I don't want to do it on my own. Are you ready? Let's go. 1 mark questions need a short, snappy answer. 1 mark questions need a short, snappy answer. 1 mark questions need a short, snappy answer. Brilliant. You might have found that you were doing a little dance at the same time like I was. Okay, get your fists ready for PE, punching in the air. Are you ready? Let's do it all together. 2 mark questions need a PE answer. 2 mark questions need a PE answer. 2 mark questions need a PE answer. And the P is your point. It's the main idea, what you want to talk about. And E is your evidence. And you're going to find some examples, maybe some quotes to back up your point from the text. Fantastic. I want you to get your books. We're going to begin reading page 40, Snoscumbers. Have a little think about what's going to happen in this chapter. Are you ready? I want you to follow along with your finger as I am reading. We're going to stop and ask some questions on the way. Let's start reading. But if you don't eat people like all the others, Sophie said, then what do you live on? That is a squelching, tricky problem around here, the BFG answered. In this slosh-flunking giant country, Eppie eats like pineapples and pigwinkle is simply not growing. Nothing is growing except for one extremely icky poo vegetable. It is called the snoscumber. The snoscumber? Cried Sophie. There's no such thing. The BFG looked at Sophie and smiled, showing about 20 of his square white teeth. Yesterday, he said, we was not believing in giants, was we? Today, we's not believing in snoscumbers. Just because we happen not to have actually seen something with our own two little winkles, we think it is not existing. What about, for instance, the great squizzly scotchhopper? I beg your pardon, Sophie said, and the umplecrimp. What's that? Sophie said. And the rat rascal. The what? Sophie cried. And the crumbscottle. Are they animals? Sophie asked. There's common animals, said the BFG contemptuously. I is not a very knowing old giant myself, but it seems to me that you is an absolutely know-nothing human being. Your brain is full of rotten wool. You mean cotton wool? Sophie said. What I mean and what I say is two different things, the BFG announced rather grandly. I will now show you a snoscumber. The BFG flung open a massive cupboard and took out the weirdest-looking thing Sophie had ever seen. It was about half as long again as an ordinary man, but was much thicker. It was as thick around its girth as a perambulator. It was black with white stripes along its length, and it was covered all over with coarse knobbles. Here is the most repulsant snoscumber, cried the BFG, waving it about. I squoggle it, I despise it, I desponge it. But because I is refusing to gobble up human beings like the other giants, I must spend my life guzzling up icky poo snoscumbers instead. If I don't, I will be nothing but skin and groans. Okay, we're going to stop there. My question is, why does the BFG eat snoscumbers even though he doesn't like eating them? It's a 1-mark question. It needs a short, snappy answer. Listen whilst I think aloud. Why does the BFG eat snoscumbers even though he doesn't like eating them? The BFG eats snoscumbers even though he doesn't like eating them because he doesn't want to eat humans like other giants. I want you to have a little think, then say your answer out loud, then write your ideas down on your piece of paper or in your home learning book. Press pause now. Great, you're back. Okay, I'm going to keep reading and you're going to follow along. You mean skin and bones, Sophie said. I know it is bones, the BFG said, but please understand that I cannot be helping it if I sometimes is saying things a little squiggly. I is trying my very best all the time. The BFG, the big friendly giant, looked suddenly so forlorn that Sophie got quite upset. I'm sorry, she said. I didn't mean to be rude. There never was any school to teach me talking in giant country, the BFG said sadly. But couldn't your mother have taught you? Sophie asked. My mother? Cried the BFG. Giants don't have mothers. Surely you's knowing that. I did not know that, Sophie said. Who ever heard of a woman giant? Shouted the BFG. waving the snozzcumber around his head like a lasso. "There never was a woman giant, and there never will be one. Giants is always men." Sophie felt herself getting a little muddled. "In that case," she said, "how were you born?" "Giants isn't born," the BFG answered. "Giants appear, and that's all there is to it. They simply appears, the same way as the sun and the stars." "And when did you appear?" Sophie asked. "Now how on earth could I be knowing a thing like that?" said the BFG. "It was so long ago I couldn't count." "You mean you don't even know how old you are?" "No giant is knowing that," the BFG said. All I is knowing about myself is that I is very old, very, very old, and crumbly, perhaps as old as the earth." "What happens when a giant dies?" Sophie asked. "Giants is never dying," the BFG answered. "Sometimes and quite suddenly a giant is disappearing, and nobody is ever knowing where he goes. But mostly us giants is simply going on and on like whiffy time twiddlers." The BFG was still holding the awesome snozzcumber in his right hand, and now he put one end into his mouth and bit off a huge hunk of it. He started crunching it up, and the noise he made was like the crunching of lumps of ice. "It's filthy," he spluttered, speaking with his mouth full and spraying large pieces of snozzcumbers like bullets into Sophie's direction. Sophie hopped around on the tabletop, ducking out of the way. "It's disgusterous," the BFG gurgled. "It's sickable, it's rotsome, it's maggot-wise. Try it yourself, this felsome snozzcumber." "No, thank you," Sophie said, backing away. And we're going to stop there because I've got another question for you. Okay, what is the BFG's opinion of the snozzcumber? I want you to have a little think, say your answer out loud, then make a note of your ideas on your piece of paper or in your home learning book. Now, this is a 2-mark question, so a PE answer. I need you to give your point and then your evidence. What is the BFG's opinion of the snozzcumber? Do that now. Press pause. Fantastic. So you're back and we were thinking about what is the BFG's opinion of the snozzcumber. I hope you're using your books to find your evidence. Here's what I wrote. I think the BFG thinks the snozzcumber is disgusting. I think this because he describes it using words such as filthy, disgusterous, sickable, rotsome, and maggot-wise. Now, filthy is a real word. All the other words are the giant being a little bit mixed up. I think disgusterous means disgusting. Sickable means sickly. Rotsome means rotten, and maggot-wise, probably tasting like maggots. What do you think? Have a look at your answer. Okay, we're going to keep reading. We're up to the bottom of page 43. And it's the giant talking. He said, "It's all you're going to be. Get your fingers ready. Off we go." "It's all you're going to be guzzling around here from now on, so you might as well get used to it," said the BFG. "Go on, you snipsy little winkle, have a go." Sophie took a small nibble. "Ah!" she spluttered. "Oh no, oh gosh, oh help!" She spat it out quickly. "It tastes of frog skins," she gasped, "and rotten fish." "Worse than that," cried the BFG, roaring with laughter. "To me, it is tasting of clock coaches and slime wanglers." Do we really have to eat it?" Sophie said. "You do, unless you is wanting to become so thin that you will be disappearing into a thick ear." "Into thin ear?" Sophie said. "A thick ear is something quite different." Once again, that sad, winsome look came into the BFG's eyes. "Words," he said, "is such a tickly problem to me all my life. So you must simply try to be patient and stop squibbling. As I am telling you before, I know exactly what words I am wanting to say, but somehow or other they is always getting squiddling around. And we're going to stop there. The text reads, once again that sad, winsome look came into the BFG's eye. Why is the BFG feeling so sad? I want you to have a little think, say your answer out loud, and then write it down in your books or on your piece of paper. Why is the BFG feeling so sad? Off we go now. Press pause. Great, you're back. The text read, once again that sad, winsome look came into the BFG's eye. Why is the BFG feeling so sad? It's a 1 mark question, so it needs a short, snappy answer. And I've said, the BFG is feeling sad because words have been a problem his whole life. What did you put? Okay, great. Let's keep reading. It happens to everyone, Sophie said. Not like it happens to me, the BFG said. I is speaking the most terrible Wiglish. I think you speak beautifully, Sophie said. You do? Cried the BFG, suddenly brightening. You really do? Simply beautifully, Sophie repeated. Wow, that is the nicest present anybody is ever giving me in my whole life, cried the BFG. Are you sure you is not twiddling my leg? Of course not, Sophie said. I just love the way you talk. How wondercrump, cried the BFG, still beaming. How whoopsie splunkers, how absolutely squiffling. I is all of a stutter. Right, we're going to stop there. I've got another question for you. How does the BFG feel when Sophie tells him she loves the way he talks? I want you to have a little think. Say your answer out loud, then make a note of your ideas. Have you checked to see what kind of mark question it is? Okay, press pause now. Wonderful, you're back, and it was a 2 mark question, so it needed a PE answer. Check, have you got a PE answer? Well done if you have. How does the BFG feel when Sophie tells him she loves the way he talks? Well, I think the BFG is delighted when Sophie tells him she loves the way he talks. That's my point. Here's my evidence. I think this because the BFG beams. This means he's smiling. And he uses mixed up words such as wondercrump and whoopsie splutters. And don't they sound like happy, wonderful, fantastic words? What did you put? Okay, we're going to continue with the rest of the story. Listen, Sophie said, we don't have to eat the snoscumbers. In the fields around our village, there are all sorts of lovely vegetables like cauliflowers and carrots. Why don't you get some of those the next time you go visiting? The BFG raised his great head proudly in the air. I is a very honourable giant, he said. I would rather be chewing up rots and snoscumbers than snitching things from other people. You stole me, Sophie said. I did not steal you very much, said the BFG, smiling gently. After all, you was only a tiny little girl. And we're going to stop there. Tomorrow we're going to continue reading the BFG, and we're going to continue carrying on making inferences. On your piece of paper or in your home learning book, perhaps you could make a prediction about what you think will happen next in our story. I'm going to give you a clue. The next chapter is called The Blood Bottler. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch up with you all tomorrow.